Hello, I'm Lawrence Chard and welcome to the Chard's Coin and Bullion Dealer YouTube channel.
So our working title today is Lawrence Chard's Nightmare. So Lawrence, what is your nightmare?
Okay, well, if we're talking about coins, which we are, it's the 1887 Queen Victoria Golden Jubilee Gold £5 coin, otherwise known as a quintuple sovereign.
I think you forgot something there, Lawrence.
Oh, yeah, okay, I always need reminding on it. If you like this video, and you might not know yet, do give us a thumbs up down below somewhere there. You should subscribe really, because quite often, say this video refers back to last week's video, and next week we might include some comments and questions on this week's video. So ask questions, express comments, whatever you like. We like feedback.
So you mentioned the 1887 £5 and £2 coins. Are we talking about fakes again?
Well, I haven't mentioned £2 coins yet. They're my second biggest nightmare. But yes, there will be some fakes in this video.
So why are we talking about fakes again?
Well, one reason, because they turn up all the time, nearly every day. And in any case, when people ask me questions, about half the time, it's how do I tell a fake? Where can I buy gold from and know it's not a fake? And you know, I've actually spent most of about 60 years trying to help people with the same questions. Sometimes they're saying, how are you so good at detecting fakes? My answer is years of experience. But it's very difficult to actually teach somebody very quickly, but we do get asked. And for example, in the video that we published last week, we got some quite interesting comments on there that we actually responded to. Now, 2 of them you picked up on, didn't you?
Yes, so we've got one comment here which states, fakes, fakes, fakes. That is all Chards can talk about. Sad.
Well, he's right, it is sad, but he's wrong because that's not all we talk about. In fact, you checked this morning, didn't you? We've been doing YouTube videos for 11 years now. How many of them mention fakes?
So from the research I did this morning, I think about 30 out of 417 videos are actually about fakes.
Quick mental arithmetic, only 14, I think about 7% of them mention fakes.
We've had another comment here, it says, it's all everything fake buy off us, laughing emoji.
As you can see, it made me laugh, and it actually made you laugh, Kristen, didn't it, when reading it out there? And yeah, it's rather negative, isn't it? And I guess it's somebody who's actually works somewhere else, or has a mate who's a bullion dealer. I don't know. Yeah, he's right to be cynical in a way, but trying to do a service. And one thing, actually, this is just jumping back to those numbers of videos, but of those videos that we've done over the years, which ones get the highest viewing figures?
It's definitely all of the fake videos.
Yep. I looked just earlier, and the absolute top one, the first one we ever did on YouTube, with me standing at our counter at Lither Mode, talking about how to detect a counterfeit, and that's had more views than any of our other videos. Alright, it was the first one, but it's about fakes, and it got quite a high viewing rate comparatively. We're not just doing it for the views, but that's a good indicator. That's what people are interested in. If I was talking then people would probably switch off and go somewhere else. It's what people want to know, it's what they're interested in, and as long as people are interested and we can actually help them, teach them something, then yeah, we'll keep talking about fakes.
Another good comment here is, what are the fakes made of? We had a few comments that stated this actually.
If you listen and watch the video, you'll see I am talking about gold fakes. In the last video, it may not be completely clear and obvious that the fake ones I was talking about were gold, but the thing is that base metal fakes are so obvious and so easy to detect that you don't need me to talk about them. You just need half an ounce of common sense. Maybe a weighing scale, feel them in your hand, they're too light or they're too thick or they're the wrong colour. They shouldn't fool anybody. That's why I'm talking about the trickier fakes that are likely to fool a lot of people.
Today we're going to talk about the 1887 quintuple sovereign, is that right?
Yes. Yes, but there's more than one of them. I did say this was my worst nightmare, and you know when you have nightmares, you don't just get one alien or whatever it is, you get crowds of them. Actually, it's a bit like Room 101. Whenever I mention Room 101, people either go, what's that? Or they say, oh yeah, it's a thing on the telly, isn't it? But where Room 101 came from is George Orwell's novel 1984. And it's a great read, actually. Recommend it to anybody. Basically, it's the torture room. When you've been really bad, that's where they send you. And what is in Room 101, it's the thing that you fear most. If you've got arachnophobia, it will be full of spiders. If you're afraid of rats, wouldn't that be rodentophobia? I don't know. It'll be full of rats. And if I ended up in Room 101 for some reason, I think it'd be full of 1887 gold £5 coins. I'd probably mandated to actually identify them all as genuine and fake before they let me out. Oh, I'd be there forever. So, why we're talking about these today is that about a week ago we did a buy-in, and it was just short of £100,000. There were a few modern proof coins, there were a few other world gold coins in there, but most of it was 1887 Victoria Jubilee gold coins. And I guess that the guy that sold them to us must have had he must have been a Jubilee philiac, I think. Is that a person who loves 1887 Golden Jubilee? You got the point. It's an interesting year in Victoria's life. It was a new portrait, and some people don't like the Jubilee design, but there were commemorative issues made in gold, or gold sovereigns, half sovereigns, double sovereigns, quintuple sovereigns made, and because it was the first year of the Jubilee and something special, lots of people acquired them, and lots of people kept them indoors or somewhere at home. And that means that lots of them turn up in really good condition. So you can buy an 1887 Jubilee sovereign in minty condition for very reasonable money. And certainly compared with, say, 1888 or, say, 1887 Younghead Shield sovereign or 1887 Younghead St George sovereigns, 3 different types of sovereigns that year. Interestingly, the sovereigns are nearly always genuine. Lots of them turn up, and I think the reason that people don't counterfeit those much is they were so common and they turn up in good condition. However, the gold £5 and the £2 are nearly as bad. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on a bit, so let's just have a look here, because this was, at the time I was pulled in, could I check these before we bought them, and had a good look, and I remember checking through 8 of these gold £5 and also 8 of the gold £2. And sometimes I can spot a fake one. It's maybe a 6-foot fake, so I can tell from 6 foot away that it's fake. But that's the kind of old-fashioned lower quality fake. And since about the 1970s, there's been very good quality fakes made, and often they're made of 22 karat gold or very close, and they are much harder to detect. You can test it with a Sigma machine. You can put it on a much better Niton XRF machine, and you can get the gold content. That's only one quick lazy filter. It's one tool. Figuring out the difference between a reasonably good fake and a genuine coin is not easy, and that's a nightmare. One of my colleagues had actually already gone through and looked at these coins, and also done some Niton tests. And here we can say this says bag 22, and it's got my initials on because it wants me to check it. And it says 1887 quintuple sovereign, and we've got the reading down there. I think we can probably show you a screenshot of this or the results. But the first thing here, the gold content on the obverse shows there's 93.65% fine. It should be about 91.66. So most people would raise their eyebrows here and say, well, there's too much gold in that. So that's good, isn't it? The gold's even better than it should be. I have noticed that 1887 Jubilee gold does tend to test quite well, but 93.65 is too high. And the reverse also comes out 93.43. There's a little bit too much differential there for my liking, but again, that's too high, so it's probably fake. The next question people usually ask is, why would you put too much gold in a fake coin? And a few different answers to that. One, you're a bit stupid, you've done your math wrong. But no, these coins have in the past and still do generally trade at a considerable premium over their intrinsic, basically scrap value. So if you put 0.5% too much gold in there, but you're selling them for double the gold content or 50% markup on the gold content, you're making enough money not to worry. More people would be concerned if the gold content was low, and if you took something like this into a jeweller and they just acid tested it, they go, yeah, that's 22 carat. Now, another thing here is a lot of people just use an Iton tester. That's my competitors, for example, and they go, yeah, that's all right, because they've just looked at the gold content, but they don't know how to tell whether the coin is just a good fake or whether it's genuine. There's other clues here. Look at the silver content. The silver content here is 1.17, so 11 parts per thousand on the obverse, or 11.7, which is okay. But on the reverse, it's showing us 12 parts per thousand. Actually, that's about where I would expect the silver content to be. So that's the silver bit is a good sign there. I still think that that's going to be a fake, and you probably think, well, don't I know? Well, no, I don't yet, because 8 of these, 8 double sovereigns. Oh, and this, we'll talk about that in a minute. A lot of work, and I do other things as well, so haven't had time to go through these conclusively. I did say they're a nightmare. In a sense, it's great when we can test them, and the tester indicates that they're obviously fake because the gold content is miles out. Miles too high, miles too low, or the silver content miles out. Life's easy, we just go, scrap. We photograph it, but then we scrap it, and it's an easy life there. When it's like this and it's a little bit inconclusive, then I have to go and do the hard work. Next one, let's have a look. Just sharing some thoughts here. Again, 92.57, 92.17, the obverse and reverse readings. Silver content, 19 parts per thousand, and 19 parts per thousand. That's too high, so that's suspicious. I should say that on both those two, on the top of the report, whoever's tested them has put fake with a question mark, because that's their opinion, they're probably fake. They wanted to confirm it. The next one, let's have a look. This says fake and there's no question mark. And gold content 93.84. Silver content 12 parts per thousand. And both sides. So the silver content on that is about right. Possibly be okay. Let's have a look. I have looked at all these very quickly a few days ago, and then I've gone and forgotten which was which. Oh, there's a funny mark down there, just above the 7 in the date that I don't like. Oh, there's a little dent or scratch on it near the date. In general, the detail on the raised part of the design is quite good. It's quite sharp, which is a good sign. but it could be a 1970s fake made in probably Beirut, Lebanon. There's a few other bits on there, but look, we haven't got time in this video to get into great detail on every single one. I want to get through some of them fairly quickly. Again, 94% gold, silver content's not bad, leave that there. 94% gold, silver content's about 12 parts per thousand. I should say the silver content in most old sovereigns, and that's before QE2, is about 3 or 4 parts per thousand. In some Australian ones it's a touch higher. In modern sovereigns there's no silver content, which is why they look red. But for Queen Victoria's Jubilee, the Royal Mint and maybe some other officials thought, we'll make these look as good as we can. So instead of 3 or 4 parts per thousand, they deliberately used about 12 parts per thousand. And if you've got a whole bunch of say Jubilee sovereigns or Victoria sovereigns in general, you can often spot the 87 London Mint ones from quite a few feet away because they're just a nicer yellow. They look a more natural, real goldy colour, and that's with the addition of silver. What I will do is I'll also study the photo, because we take high-res photos of all these. 2 reasons. One, to actually help in the determination whether they're genuine or fake, but also as a kind of historical record, because we can build up a kind of library of what to look for. So even though I've ticked fake on that, I'm not sure. At the point, it's okay using an eyeglass and you're seeing it up close, but when you get a good photo, you can blow it up to about this big and you can zoom in on tiny little details, and that tells you a lot more. So one seems to have disappeared or mixed itself up somewhere else, and 1902 has jumped into its place. These things move around at night. That's probably when I'm having nightmares.
Seem to have jumped on your neck as well there. What is that you're wearing?
Oh yeah, you want me to talk about this? Well, yeah, I can tell you about this. This came in with the same buy-in, and if you have a look, there's the Nightmare coin here, then round the back there's my second Nightmare coin. It's the £2. This is the £5 quintuple sovereign, that's a £2 double sovereign, and there's actually 2 chains linked together here, because I linked them together to put them on. I don't normally go around wearing this sort of bling. You'll want the thong next, don't you? These 2 very nice chains actually. They're Albert chains. Everybody I've spoken to in the last week has said, what's an Albert chain? And I've gone, oh, okay, you've forgotten. In the days of, they're named after Prince Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, consort. And he used to wear a waistcoat with a pocket watch on it, or maybe a snooker chalk in the other one, or maybe a medallion, or maybe his pass for the palace. And there's 2 of these together here. Most of the ones you see nowadays. Oh, and they were still fashionable during the reign of Edward VII, probably even more popular. Into George V, then I think the popularity or the affordability dropped off. These are both notable because they're 18 karat gold, which looks a lovely yellow colour. They're not cheap 9 karat gold, they're in good condition, and some of our team thought, oh, they scrap these because they don't sell very well. And the reason they don't sell very well, they're very expensive nowadays. So, a lot of people like these, and 20 years ago maybe they were extremely popular. Lots of people were wearing things like this, sovereign rings and bling. I really should do the song now. Oh, you'll kill me for this. You could put the answer down in the comments question if you can figure it out, because I'm going to attempt an impression, and when you hear it, you'll say, stick to your day job, and you'll want me to talk about fakes instead of singing. But here goes. I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. Okay, right down there. Who's that an impression of? While you're writing that down and thinking about it, we might even award a free pint to the first person who comes up with the correct answer. So, the 18 carat, they're very nice. Oh, I know, people have shown these to. how much is that worth? Well, the coins, firstly, I haven't checked these two properly, and because they've got wear and tear and because they're mounted, they're going to be harder to detect than if they were unmounted. I think somebody's already nitrod tested those, so I'll look at the results later. But even if they're fakes and we end up scrapping them, those chains are really too good to do. They've almost certainly been handmade, but they are quite expensive. I think I reckoned... do you remember, Christian, how much I said these were worth?
I think you said about £9,000.
Yeah, I think that's including the coins. So yeah, that's about right. I think there's about £3,000 of gold in the coins, and there was I did a mental arithmetic the other day, and I think I came to about £6,300 of gold there. And if somebody wants to buy a nice Albert chain, we'd be happy to take 10% over the scrap gold price for either of them, or both if you wanted, and that is very cheap. Otherwise, we could have that in stock for years and years, and in a year or two's time we'll say, we should have melted it down, which I don't like doing because I don't like destroying very nice things. If the chains are in bad condition, then I'd say scrap it. But that was that. What else was I supposed to be talking about here?
For people who are interested in buying an 1887 quintuple sovereign, is that something that we currently stock on our website whenever we get a genuine?
Yeah, we've usually got some for sale. Sometimes you have to wait because we don't want to make a mistake and get one. And I will tell you that in my 60 years in the numismatic and bullion business, I'm aware of one fake coin that I allowed to go out the door. And do you want to guess what it is? I'll tell you what, answers in the comments and we'll see what you say. I really wanted to talk to you about some of the 1887 gold £2, but over here, these are some we looked at earlier. Collectors out there are going, what's he doing with those coins? Why is he fingering them? Why is he chinking them together? Well, I don't normally do that. As you may guess, I've looked at these in the past and determined that these are all fakes. They're actually some that we've just pulled back out of our collection. Once we'd finished talking about these and including them in a video, we were going to scrap them and get our money back. Anybody who watches a lot of coins and stacking videos on YouTube will see one guy, and it's Backyard Bullion. He's a very nice guy, by the way. We've done a couple of videos with him. We like the guy. He's very honest, very sincere, very positive. He's very enthusiastic about his subject. But all you ever see in his video, apart from coins and silver bars, are his hands, and his hands are doing this. You don't see his face. And I'll tell you what, he's got about 10 times more subscribers than we've got. If we just did my hands and you didn't show my face, maybe we'd get more subscribers. So here we go. But I think also maybe he's learned hypnosis. So look at me, look at my hands, listen to my video, hit subscribe. You are hitting subscribe now, hit like, that's it. Now you're going to ask some questions and say, I think Charles are wonderful. There you go. So that's a name check for Backyard Bullion. He's a nice guy. Have we got any time left to talk about the £2 that came in with this video? The story with these is more or less the same as with the £5, except I don't have so great nightmares about these. That's a good one. Oh, it's through the plastic. 78% gold, but I think that's maybe the slab that's throwing it out. It's graded. It's an NGC slab, so we ought to be able to check that online, and I haven't done this yet. Somebody else usually does that. I stick to the nightmare stuff, and everybody else does the easy stuff, and they can sleep at night. I can't see anything obviously wrong with that, so this probably is a genuine coin in a genuine slab, and that reading there is just demonstrating that if you try an XRF test through plastic, you're going to get funny results. But what I wanted to also do is say, in with this buy-in, there were some 1887 sovereigns. Now I don't usually say full sovereigns, I just say sovereigns. To me a sovereign is a sovereign, it's a £1 coin. Some people say sovereigns and they mean a double sovereign or a 5 sovereign piece or a half sovereign or that was a quarter sovereign. When I say sovereign, I mean a sovereign. If 100 years ago you'd have said, I'll give you a sovereign to dig my garden over for me, and somebody gave you half sovereign, you would probably grab them by the throat and accuse them of cheating you, because the sovereign was a pound coin. So it's a nice 1887 London Mint Jubilee. I can see it's a lovely yellow colour. It's got a bit of wear on it, a few scuffs and whatever. It's probably, I'd say extremely fine, although it probably slabbers AU or MS. And one of my colleagues has put down here 1887 fake ? Sovereign. I've looked at it, I've looked at the Niton test. The test results show 921 gold and 920 gold. That's slightly high, but the tolerance is down at 3 parts per 1,000. So if we took that off the 921, it'd be 918. That's very close. And on the reverse, 920, tolerance 4, so that could come down to 916. That gold content is within the norm, just within the normal range. The silver content here is showing as 15 parts per 1,000, which is just slightly higher than I would expect. I expect 12 parts per 1,000, but I'm quite happy that coin is genuine. In any case, I can't see why somebody would fake that coin, but I will have another look later, and my colleague's quite right to put fake with a question mark. These will be a pleasure to do because they're basically all going to be quite easy, and I'm better than 99% confident that all those will be genuine coins, and that's lovely. I don't have nightmares about those. They could get me off to sleep at night, that'd be good. So anybody who's hot on their continuity will probably have spotted that I've now got a cup of tea, because having rabbited on for... How long were we rabbiting on for, Christian?
We're getting up to an hour now. Oh. About 60 minutes.
Well, with any luck, we can cut that down to about 30 minutes or 20 minutes. So, once you start me talking, you try stopping me. So while we had our tea break, I had my tea break, I was saying, okay, what were the 2 questions that we invited people to answer? And Christian said, I think we only asked 1 question. I thought, play back some of the video, and we could only find 1. So the question that we know that we asked you is who my singing impression is. And don't worry, don't turn over, I'm not going to do it again. But what we decided is that we use this cunning plan, and we'll tell you on the next video. So you'll have to put the comments down, then you'll have to wait. And I'm sure you don't want to miss it. So subscribe, subscribe, and tell us why we owe you a pint. How we get that to you, I don't know. I think that's about it, folks. I've already mentioned subscribe about 3 times. I'm overdoing it. I've enjoyed doing this video. I hope you've enjoyed watching, and we look forward to seeing you hopefully next week. Bye for now.